Okay, we were talking about Apple in the 3 o'clock 2 and 2, and now Dan Howley has some news about how you could trade in your iPhone because of some new deals from Apple. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting a lot more value out of your prior iPhones. And basically what you're going to be able to do is trade some of these in for the prices going up by about $45 on some old devices like iPads. You're also going to be able to get some of the value out of your old MacBook Airs, as well as obviously your iPhones. You're going to get the max trade-in value on a phone is now going up $15. That's an iPhone 11 Pro Max to $515. So essentially what that means is if you have an older phone and you really want to get that new iPhone 12, iPhone 12 Pro, iPhone 12 Pro Max, if you feel like dropping more than $1,000, you can go ahead and trade in your older phones, and you're going to get a little more bang for your buck. It's not going to be something crazy, but it is still money in your pocket that you're going to get out of these devices that you may or may not have already managed to pay off. So I think as far as people go in purchasing new iPhones, this is a solid deal. Honestly, if I'm going to go ahead and look for a new phone, there's no reason to hold on to the old one unless you're giving it to a younger sibling or a child. Just get rid of it and get that extra cash.
Dan, does this mean, though, that people are more hesitant to upgrade their phones? Is that why Apple would be inclined then to raise the trade-in value of it?
I think that's part of it. It really does allow them to give people more of an incentive to want to go out and buy those phones. Obviously, the trade-in deal, there's another deal where you can just get a new phone every year, basically an iPhone plan. And that's really the idea behind that, is to ensure as many people as possible are upgrading to the latest and greatest device. That obviously means there's higher volume with sales, and then that looks good for their bottom line. But I think that you're right. This is part of a way to kind of goose sales for the iPhone. And it's not as though the iPhone 12 is selling poorly. They've sold incredibly well. I think the ones that haven't sold as well is the 12 mini. That was the smaller screen size. It just never really took off, it seems, compared to the standard 12 or the 12 Pro or 12 Pro Max. Those are all really volume sellers. The 12 mini, not so much, but those are really selling very well. So why Apple needs to goose the sales? Maybe it's just they want to keep that kind of momentum going into the second half of the year. Usually they do most of their sales for their latest iPhones in Q4, Q1, Q2, it starts to slow down, and Q3 is where it really slows down, and it goes into Q4 with a little bit of the newest iPhone. So it could be that they're trying to ensure that sales stay nice and hefty going into the coming quarters.
All right, so life is good. Not so lucky, though, especially for a company that used to be the gold star. I'm trying to make a pun here on a merger that took place before some of the people watching were even born. But pioneer in the smartphone business, or at least in the cell phone business, now getting out. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, LG is biting the dust. You could pour one out for them. They are ending their time in the smartphone market. Essentially, what happened here was two issues. One, they just never managed to really catch up with Samsung and Apple as far as the premium tier devices. They were cool for a while. Maybe about 10 years ago, they had 20% of the US smartphone market share. But that was also around the time of the iPhone 4S, where Apple was really getting into its stride for design. And Samsung was really trying to match Apple. LG just never managed to get there. So they were still trying to play in that space up until recently. They've been making provocative designs for the past few years. They had an LG Wing, which is, it was literally a phone where you had the main screen that then flipped up sideways. So you had two screens. It didn't really seem practical at all. And then just this past CES, they were talking about a phone that was literally called the LG Rollable, with a screen that rolled out from it, kind of like a window shade. Again, completely impractical, and it didn't make sense for where they were in the market. At that point, they had already become kind of a mid-tier to budget phone, and you're not really going to generate very much volume as far as sales go with a device like a Rollable or the LG Wing. So it didn't make sense for them to be putting out those devices and spending the millions of dollars on development. In the meantime, while they were playing in that mid-tier to bottom-tier market, they were being consistently undercut by the likes of Chinese manufacturers such as Oppo and Xiaomi. Samsung also eating some of LG's lunch just because of the fact that they were able to offer phones with a lower margin, because they were playing as well in the top tier spaces. LG never really got to figure out that you needed an ecosystem after smartphones became more commoditized for consumers. And so now they're leaving the market. And as you said, they were a pioneer. I remember I had an LG flip phone. They've been around for decades in this market, and it's a shame to see them go. But obviously, mismanagement as far as whether or not they wanted to be premium or entry level, that seems to have been its demise.